get by. It resides between my eyes. Walked through the fire, came out better on the other side. See, life's like a beach if you find the sand. And right now, I feel like 100 grand.
You are listening to Inspired Insider with your host, Dr. Jeremy Wise.
Dr. Jeremy Wise here, founder of InspiredInsider.com, where I talk with inspirational entrepreneurs and leaders. Today is no different. I have Lou Sokolovskiy, and you can check him out at opusconnect.com. Lou, before I formally introduce you, I always like to point out other episodes of the podcast people should check out. Since this is, really in the M&A space and connection space, there's a really good episode I did with Todd Taskey. That's how Lou and I actually met. So big thank you to Todd. Todd actually helps pair agencies with private equity. And he has the Second Bite podcast, which we run. And Second Bite, because, when the owners sell, sometimes when they sell to private equity, when the private equity sells again, they make more on the second bite than the first. So that was a great episode on the valuation space, M&A space, digital agency space. There's another one, Kelly Perdue of Moonshots Capital. He talked about working with Donald Trump. He actually won The Apprentice. And so on the episode, he talked about the impact of winning The Apprentice. And it was a really interesting episode. Also, Tracy DeForge, CEO and co-founder of Players Impact. Players Impact is a platform for current and former professional athletes looking to preserve and build wealth through private market investment opportunities, which, Tracy should definitely talk to you, Lou, and your group, because she'd be a cool person. And that was a great episode as well. She actually brought a couple people from Players Impact who are professional athletes on the episode, and we talked about some of the deals they were working on. So check those out and more on InspiredInsider.com. This episode is brought to you by Rise 25. Rise 25, we help businesses give to and connect to their dream relationships and partnerships. We do that in two ways. One, we help companies launch and run a podcast. We're an easy button to do that. We do the strategy, accountability, and the full execution and production. Number two, we're an easy button for your company's corporate gifting. So we make gifting and staying top of mind to your clients, partners, and prospects simple and seamless. And for me, Lou, I always like it to be affordable because I like to send things to people every few months for years, right? And I also like to send food because I like receiving food. So we call ourselves kind of the magic elves that run in the background and make it easy for a company to help build relationships, whether it's, running their podcast or gifting. And that's really the number one thing in my life. Over the past decade, I found no better way to give to my relationships than to profile them and share with the world that they're working on the podcast and sending them delicious treats in the mail. So you can go to rise25.com or email us at support@rise25.com. I am super excited to introduce Lou Sokolovskiy. He's a serial entrepreneur and investor. He has a focus on real estate and private equity. He started Opus Connect, which he has built into one of the most engaged M&A communities. They have facilitated over 100 deals for its members, maybe more as we're counting. They even have an aspect of Opus Connect called Deal Connect, where they provide curated matchmaking so professionals can drive even more meaningful business opportunities and strategic partnerships, which results in more deal flow and resources. So, Lou, thanks for joining me.
Thank you, Jeremy. Great to be here. And thank you, Todd, for introducing us. It's been a great relationship that we started really recently, but really appreciate it.
Yeah, I love it. And I want to just start with Opus Connect. Talk to people about Opus Connect and what you do. And as you're doing that, I'm going to pull up the website.
Thank you. Opus was unintended consequence of me trying to network a little bit better, a little bit more thoughtfully and productively. I was a member of a number of good organizations, but I was finding myself wasting a lot of time. And I never wrote a business plan. And yeah, the website looks good now, but never wrote a business plan. The first 5 years of business, we didn't have a website at all. I really started figuring out that out of people I meet at most of these events, I really want to network with top 5%, maybe 10. And I started inviting the top 5% of people I would meet to my breakfast meetings. And after a couple of months, they became quite popular. People, what do you call this group? I'm like, I don't know, just breakfast at my office. People started
Breakfast with Lou. I'm going to rename the website. Right.
But it was not Breakfast with Lou because I actually was not in center of attention. I really helped to facilitate meaningful relationship between attendees. And people start getting on the wait list. And I'm like, okay, I need to at least give it a name. So I want to thank my dear friend, Mark Geller, who during a long hike came up with a name of Opus Connect. It's not my credit. And it was really the best piece of music usually, but in this case of my business development effort put all together into one. And we officially launched in November of 2009. We celebrated last November being 15 years old, and it continued for a while. Just no website, just sent out in events, and then we started getting bigger and bigger and hiring people. Now we produce a little over 350 events a year. Still focus on that lower middle market M&A world. We have a number of now CEOs that engage with our community. But it's really private equity, private lenders, mezzanine investors, investment bankers, everyone involved in the small, mid-size M&A deal. People ask why your network is different. I'm like, we're not different. It's who we don't let in. We curate, and there's a lot of great candidates that we rejected. They were great, but not great for our network. We don't let too many service providers in, which, get bombarded with other organizations really have overwhelming amount of service providers. We curate that a lot more strictly, and it's my baby. I love it, and it's my passion. Is it does it provide the highest rate of return on my time? Economically, not, but in terms of my enjoyment in my life, it's absolutely my baby, and Opus Connect is where my heart is.
I know that you have Opus Connect. You also are always doing different deals as well as an investor entrepreneur. You have a separate site for that, Genero, Capital Partners. But I do want to talk about, and this is I love how these things kind of birth out of your own need, right? I mean, you are finding, you're just as much a user as Opus Connect as everyone else, and that's why you created it, to find deals as an investor. But talk about who is a fit for the community. You mentioned a couple types of groups for Opus Connect.
The most important characteristics to join our community, you need to be interested to be part of the community, number one, and enjoy giving to others, proactively giving to others, while you're a deal maker. So you shouldn't be, this is a fine combination. It's sometimes hard to find a perfect candidate. And, most of our members are a lot more proactively helping others than many other organizations because we're a smaller group. Everyone knows everyone. But it's more characteristic than a job title. That's a lot more critical. And yes, you do need to be successful and you need to do deals that everyone else does, but it comes secondary.
I want to talk about that because that's something I look for in my network, always looking to curate amazing givers, right? And Adam Grant's Give and Take book, there's if anyone hasn't listened to it or read it, it's great, givers, takers, and matchers. And I'm always looking for givers because I feel like I default to that. Like I always want to help. And so other people, I want more of those people in my network. How do you vet for that when you're talking to someone in your network? Because it's hard, I think, at first.
I wish I had a secret question. There's certain questions we do during interviews that you find out about a lot, about intellectual curiosity, what book they read, about what they enjoy. I wish I had a magic one. I don't. And sometimes we do make mistakes, and occasionally we don't renew memberships. We hate doing it, really hate doing it. But it happens, usually happens once a year, every other year. Somebody not a match. The great people, we still respect them for their professional achievement, but maybe, it's like the more enjoy taking than giving, and that happens, we hope our community is more of inspiration for people to bring that side. And then we're not perfect, by the way. We're not perfect, far away. It's something that I'm proactively trying to encourage people to do. Some people better in that than others. Some people really, really enjoy giving, like Jeremy, it sounds like you do, naturally. They don't need to force themselves. And some people need to more break through that. And it's like working out 5 o'clock in the morning. You don't enjoy it, but you do it because you have to, right? That's fine.
I start to enjoy it over time, but in the first 5 months, maybe not so much. But it's interesting. So maybe there's certain questions that you ask just to get to know the person deeper, right? It could be what they read, kind of the questions you're asking, you're gleaning it. That kind of goes. Yeah, go ahead.
Also, who recommended them? Most of our members get recommended. Yes, people reach out to us and they're welcome to apply. But also, we really love when our members invite members, prospective members. That's definitely creates that level of vettiness that I cannot do over the call.
One thing I want to talk to you about, and I know you discuss a lot, there's the resources. You could check out opusconnect.com, and there's resources, and specifically on the business development side. You have a 12-step, we'll call it +1. You've added a step to the business development piece. So I'd love to hear some of the most important pieces from a business development side. I do want to say you introduced me to Brian Franco, and Brian was awesome of Meritage Partners. And he was like, Lou is a master at business development. He's like, just one thing Lou taught me, allowed me, and he walked through like a deal that he got because of one of the things that you talked about, right? So talk about maybe a couple of the main steps or concepts that you find important in business development.
Business development, it's funny that a lot of people come and if they're lawyers or CPAs, they're like, oh, you went to business school, so business development. There is no business school that teaches you about business development. There is definitely no law school that teaches you about business development. So it was always curious, and I think it came from a need, because a few times in my career I changed industries, not even jobs. I changed industries from technology to more M&A, and I was in a situation where I had quite a bit disadvantage compared to most of the peers because I didn't have the depth of network. So I network a lot more, and did not know what I was doing most of the time. And probably now I still don't know everything, but a little bit more productive than 20 years ago. But one thing that I did at that time, for example, I just kept business cards of everyone and put them in Outlook, which was very huge advantage. Now I still have business cards with people that I met 20 years ago. But that was kind of what I did. And then like, how you do it, how you be better, how do I add the value? Because my biggest challenge was I couldn't ask people for favors. So how do I do a favor? Maybe it will come back to me or not. So that proactive giving was like kind of designed in my networking. And I started really analyzing, steps by step, what works, what doesn't, how does it not work? And eventually I started coaching people on doing it. And I enjoyed it tremendously. It was not most scalable business model, but Opus Connect was born from that, because as I was helping lawyers and CPAs and others to be better in that, it really helped me to become even better as well and build Opus Connect. But with business development, you mentioned 12+1 because one is not our steps. It's really admire Simon Sinek and his book Started With Why. I recommend everyone that even if you do business development, you're in business, you have a job, you have a career, you don't have a job, you need to read that book. It's like one of the musts. And because our 12-step program is really good in how, but you need to find your why before you do it. And you don't want to take credit for Simon's work that he did phenomenal. Don't want to copy it in any way, form, just follow that, start with that. How, it's pretty easy. Once you find your passion, why do you want to do it? The how becomes a lot easier. We can help. There's a lot of amazing resources. Most people can figure out what they can do themselves if they really, really focus on it. Most people don't have that, not the discipline, but we don't have time. And even our businesses, that's why we get consultants. So we step in, we help out. One of the simplest and the highest rate of return exercises, even though it's not the first one, do your personal SWOT and try to do it twice a year. A personal SWOT analysis, if you're not familiar, is most people have done it for their businesses. Very few people actually were surprised to do it as a person, but do it as a person. So your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. We suggest our clients and members to do it in a few different settings. So you do one, spend 30, 40 minutes, an hour, write down all 4, 3 to 5 points to all of them. There is instruction on our website how to do it. It's very easy. There is an article. If you go to business development, there should be SWOT analysis somewhere. Please use it. Feel also here we go. Yeah. Also feel free to reach out to me, lou@opusconnect.com. If you have a question, if it's quick, I'll try to answer very quickly. But do this analysis and do it twice. Do it in a few settings. I'm sorry to put aside, wait 3, 4, 5 days, maybe even a week. Come back and do it for another 30, 40 minutes, maybe even an hour. If you have luxury of doing it for the third time, you'll be surprised. Do it for the third time. And then look at it. And then rate it. What is low cost, high benefit? What is high cost, low benefit? And obviously you can figure out where you need to focus. Apply that 80-20 rule or whatever rule you want to apply. You will not be able to address all of them at the same time, but figure out 3 to 4 things, 2 to 3 things, maybe even better, that you really want to focus for next 6 to 12 months to fix, address, improve, leverage, whatever the situation is. If you're a great writer, write that one article. If you're a little bit messy and don't keep database of your contacts, hire a part-time assistant offshore to help you to scan the cards, navigate it, update it. Most of the things are fixable. Some of them not in control. Those are threats. For example, it's like, recession is coming. Great. You can buy insurance, but you cannot stop the recession. Weakness is something that you actually more in control and you can fix the situation. Like, I am not a good writer. I don't enjoy writing. I enjoy being creative, but I don't enjoy writing. So I occasionally get help. I write the core. People help me to perfect it. That's what we find generates one of the highest rate of returns. Of course, you do need to get ideally all pieces in place, because having perfect engine and having really lousy transmission, you're not going to get far. This is the engine. It will help you. Even if you don't have a perfect transmission, it will help you. But try to do all the 12 steps. We done it with our clients. We have seen people do it themselves. Most people don't have enough discipline to do it themselves, but we had amazing experience with one of our members 2.5 years ago, which really encouraged us to take on clients to do it. Where after 1 hour workshop, one of our members come back a month later. I almost double our deal flow within a month. And I followed the steps. He mentioned which step he followed, and it was just phenomenal. When we do it with our clients, where we kind of hold their hand and really help them navigate, it takes 6 to 12 months to do it. The result we've seen, some of the people, Jeremy, they increase the deal flow 2.2 times, which really helps, if you're in high profit margin business like investment banking, private equity, that generates $1 million worth of transaction value.
I love it. Yeah. And one of the things that, if you are listening to the audio, we are at opusconnect.com and you go to the resources, and we are on the how to perform a personal SWOT analysis here. I'm curious when the light bulb came, went on for you on even doing this in the first place personally. And just, I want to just summarize a couple things. One, it sounds like when you do this, people start to get rid of the stuff they don't like doing and maybe is not a good value of time, so they can focus on kind of their zone of genius there. But when did the light bulb go on for you that, oh, we should be doing this personally?
Personally for ourselves or for the
No,
client?
personally for like, most people, as you said, do the SWOT analysis for the business, but they're
Mm.
not doing it for
Oh,
themselves.
wow.
And so
Okay.
why
No,
did, I mean, what made you even think of doing that?
one, it was a long time ago. I think I was finishing up my business school, which I graduated almost 16 years ago. So 16, 17 years ago. So you have that knowledge and you look in a business and they're like, I'm business one. I was entrepreneur. So forget about what am I doing. Um, Job title. Yes, I had like some technology venture at the time. Who am I and what I'm doing? Because I was a career switcher. I'm like, I need to find to do something different. I enjoy do this, but I'm not making money. So I don't think I'm the first one to apply it, but I don't know if I don't remember seeing anyone tell me to do it. And I'm like, okay, let me apply that to myself. And it really helped out, really helped out. But it was more from, probably if I had a good corporate job at the time, I would not do it. Because I was entrepreneur and career switcher, I had to do it, find creative ways to do it.
Um, I'm curious, from your standpoint, I know you went to UCLA. Are there any other things that you remember that came out of your experience with, the business school at UCLA that you still use and take today that was helpful for you?
I actually want to thank UCLA Career Center um, counselor for helping me to navigate through some of these opportunities because I was good at many things. Actually, let me think. I was not good at many things. I was good in one or two things, and I was trying to pursue other things. And so, like, just focus what you're good at. I'm
What
like,
were
oh,
you good at?
I organized like a networking events, and it came very natural. I would get like 200 people to shop, buy tickets, and I'll get sponsorship. I'll make some money. It was more like sidekick when I was in business school. So like, it sounds like you're really good at it. I'm like, no, but I want to pursue this other things. I want to join a private equity fund. So she really encouraged me to focus on like, okay, leverage what you're good at. And I still pursue, investing, and I've done a couple deals that helped me out to kind of get to the next level as a personal achievements. But that's why when I was introducing Opus Connect, it's still my passion. I'm good at it and I enjoy doing it. Is it highest rate of return on my time? Probably not. I could do other things, but I would not enjoy them as much.
One thing that sticks out that was a book that was influential for me, and I'm curious but it was Marcus Buckingham, Now Discover Your Strengths. And that book, it made me realize, yeah, why am I focusing on the stuff I'm not good at? And maybe I don't like doing. Usually the stuff that I'm not that good at, I don't like doing as much anyways. But that really struck to me even with my kids when I'm looking at them and like what their strengths are instead of trying to maybe boost up, not like saying, well, forget the other things, but boost up a little bit, focusing on boosting up maybe what they're not good at, like really zeroing in on what they are good at. So it's helped me as like a parent, I think, just help them focus in on that stuff too. Are there what books stick out to you that have been influential?
Started with Why definitely is one of them. There's, I have mentioned to you before the call, we have a book club, so I read quite a bit. I want 7 Habits of Successful People. I know those books kind of mass produced, but they're really powerful. There is definitely more like books that, oh my God, I never heard about it. We read those books in our book club, and I read personally. a lot. And but those kind of books,
Stephen Covey is a classic. Yeah.
Stephen Covey helps. And I know it's taught, recommended in business school and in the rabbinical schools at the same time. You'll be surprised how universal those things are. I think if people driven to learn, you don't. I recommend everyone to be a reader, even if you maybe don't enjoy it, because you're not going to find a perfect book, but if you read a lot of them, it really helps. And sometimes, in 7 Habits, you get 7 great ideas, for example. In some books, you only get one good idea, but it will be phenomenal. So, phenomenal success if you read one a week. A couple of years ago, I challenged myself, kind of side note, to read one book a week. It was still end of the COVID, so we had a little bit more free time. And it was a phenomenal experience. I felt like I got a second MBA. I usually read like 2 books a month now on the average speed, but that was more of a push, and it was phenomenal. It's like I got my second MBA for the price of a couple $100.
Totally. Yeah, I'm a huge Audible person. Talk about the kind of the inception of the book club, because that was also impactful, the book club itself.
Yeah, so I have a dear friend, Michael Corman. He lives in Dallas, recently raised an amazing, raised a new fund to back independent sponsor. He's a great supporter of independent sponsor community, but very intellectual friend. I have a number of my friends, very intellectual, and we were just sharing book ideas. And after a couple books that went back and forth between us, he's like, why don't we start a book club? I'm like, sure, I'll invite a couple people. So that's how it started. So Michael gets full credit, even though he's not a member of the club anymore. After he raised a new fund, he became busy. But, I will miss him and will welcome him back anytime. But that was inspiration from a friend.
And, I'd love to hear, there's just 2 things on the business development. You kind of talked about kind of the 12 steps a little bit, but I do want to talk about from an Opus Connect standpoint and also from an investor standpoint. Maybe talk about from the investor standpoint how business development helped. And I remember there was early on a real estate deal that you came across because of that. So talk about maybe the business development side of that real estate deal.
Yeah, no, I'll maybe start like step before that. I didn't start Opus Connect. I just wanted to network better, smarter, to generate more deals and access to capital. I ended up being a CEO of a company. It's not a huge company. We have like a dozen people at Opus Connect, and takes quite a bit of my time, which doesn't allow me to do as many deals as I wish to. Now I've got in a position where I hired someone to help me on that side day to day to run the deals. But the reason why I got that deal opportunity because of access to capital, I was invited to join a partnership with a colleague because of opportunity to access capital that otherwise would not be accessed by that partnership. I didn't source that specific deal, even though, definitely networks was built to do that. But I was invited just because of the network, right? So sometimes that was a positive consequence of really building up productive network and having opportunity to do deals maybe a little bit outside of the box. My goal always was to do more private equity type deals. But I ended up having more success in number of real estate deals, which just came as opportunity. If I did not work, I would not have those opportunities.
Well, I'd love to hear how you invest and how that's changed throughout the years. Because it sounds like when we were talking before we record, it's evolved how you invest now compared to maybe years ago. Can you talk about how you invest and maybe how it's changed throughout the years?
Look, with age, your appetite for risk changes. Even though you can afford maybe more of it because you have a little bit more chips to play with, but your appetite of for these changes. On a personal note, I got married at the age of 49. I have two amazing stepkids who are my kids. And now my strategy is more, one, it's not length of my lifespan anymore. It's of their lifespan as well. So playing more 50-year, I have a 50, 70-year plan now, not 30-year plan, till I'm 80, whatever my life expectancy would be. So it changed quite a bit. So there's certain risk, I've done a lot. I'm partner in a small VC fund here in Orange County and invest in a number of VC type deals. Those kind of things went a little bit more to the side because I need more singles and I shoot a little bit less for home runs. I still have a budget for home runs, more risky stuff, but it shrank compared to 5 years ago, for example.
It sounds like also you maybe before you were sourcing the deals and now you do more partners with people in specific industries. Can you talk about that?
So one of the things that I try to do is play the strength back to the SWOT analysis, right? I'm not good at everything. I'm barely good at one or two things. And two of those things are being a really good matchmaker who set up 8 weddings and dozens of deals, putting partners together that, one has a deal, one has knowledge how to structure it. And maybe I come in as help to raise money for the deal or other situations. So really playing to the strengths, because if I will try to be good at everything, one is now I have ability to maybe hire the people to help me, which is great. I didn't have that a decade ago. But I also have ability to partner up with people that's smarter. My model is whoever I partner up with, they're always smarter than I am in multiple things that I'm not as good at. If they're identical to me, meaning they have the same big network, but don't have a patience, which I don't have a lot of, I'm probably not going to partner up with them. But if they're very patient and very diligent and maybe don't have that network, great, synergy. Let's do it together.
Lou, you've seen a lot of deals. I know, Opus Connect, through Opus Connect, people have seen a lot of deals. And, the question of how to prepare a company for sale, I'd love to hear some of the mistakes you see these companies making when they're preparing for a sale.
It's a big question. Thank you for asking it. It's one of the things we started helping a number of our entrepreneurs in our network to think about it strategically. One of the most common mistake people think, they're like, oh, January 1st, I'm going to sell my company and I want to sell it by end of summer because I'm going to Europe with my family. So I want to be done with this deal. Oh my God, biggest mistake ever you just made. When you considering, and the good thing is if you're considering to sell, you don't have to sell. But if you're considering that you might want to sell your company in 3 to 5 years from now, the right time to start getting ready for it is yesterday. Today is the second best choice. So start preparing for it. So the common mistakes people make, they think if they get a phone call from buyers, I'll sell my company anytime. Yes, you will sell your company anytime. Will you sell it successfully? That's a different question. And it's not even the number that you have in mind, because the number most entrepreneurs have in mind and what the market is, you have a significant gap. Usually, entrepreneurs feel their company worth more. So educate yourself about the market. Educate yourself what is popular, what is not. Educate yourself what is easily sellable business and what is not easily sellable business. The great thing is if you prepare your company for sale and it's really, really, really ready to sell, you don't have to sell, because that probably sounds like an absentee ownership. You're barely involved in the business. You don't need to show up in the office at 8 o'clock. That's the company that every investor wants to buy, right? The owner actually is not there. There is a CEO there. One of the funny, sad stories that I'll say, I've seen it multiple times, when the whole executive team has the same last name or the members of the same family. Nobody wants to buy that business. Oh, but my mom is an accountant. How long was she accountant for? For 2 years before she got married. And now she's a CFO? Yes. And how are your financials? Oh, we don't know if we're making money or not. I'm like, have you considered hiring outside CFO? No, but why would we spend money on CFO when mom is an accountant? I'm like, being an accountant and being CFO, it's two different things. It's like being Marine versus being a general. You need a general. You have a Marine doing the general's job. So the list is pretty deep. By the way, check out our CEO forums. A few of them coming up this fall. You guys might want to attend. It was not intended as commercial, but there is so much knowledge that you need to get to have a successful exit.
Where is that on the website when we look at Opus Connect?
There is under events, forums.
We're under here. So people go to events and see what is up and coming with Opus Connect.
There's one in November for healthcare investing, and a few more going to be planned.
I gotcha.
And planned later on. Going to be available online in the next few months.
Yeah, people go check it out, opusconnect.com, and then there's an events page if you're interested in what's up and coming. I'd love to hear, Lou, a couple of your mentors or colleagues you respect in the industry, and maybe something you've learned.
I am, I think, really blessed to have met people that just been generous with their time. Some of them friends, and there's a number of them, members of my book club, whom I love all dearly, end up being good friends and sounding board for things outside of books that we read. One of the people that really played an instrumental role and still plays 20 years later is Larry Horowitz. Larry is a phenomenal genius who graduated Harvard Business School in 60s until now remembers not only names but phone numbers of every single classmate of his. But not only being a genius, he also was very generous with his time and support. And both on my deals and Opus Connect end up playing a very instrumental role. There's a number of other individuals, as Solon Gerber and many others that I really want to thank for that. But Larry really was generous with his time beyond what one could even ask for. So thank you, Larry, if you're listening to this.
I have one last question, Lou, and I don't know if you have another meeting you have to get to. If you do, then I will end it here.
Okay, we can keep going.
One thing that just sticks out to me about you and what I think about is, well, one, I love the concept of the proactive giving, which is kind of the foundation for a lot of these things. But I want to know about the immigrant mentality. Okay, because a lot of the immigrants I meet, and even in my family, they just have this drive about them. So I'd love to hear a little bit about your upbringing and, your why, what drives you from your, way back when.
Yeah. Look, every day you see the past differently every day. So, like today I see my past differently than I saw 5 years ago. I moved to States at the age of 18, which is not a great age because you have an accent, like I still do today, 30-something years later. Culturally, you're almost there, but never fully there. So I'm, on the one hand, I'm really blessed because I know both culture, more or less as a native, definitely cultural, but never as 100%. Being an immigrant, and this is why I see immigrants being more entrepreneurial, getting a job or getting promoted, I saw it not going to be as easy. Yes, I got Fortune 500 job out of college, graduate top of the class at USC, got a job at HP, but I knew I'm not going to be moving up there. It just was not my cup of tea for many reasons. So it kind of drives you, to get out of your comfort zone. One, you already done it as an immigrant, and you kind of keep doing it rinse and repeat. Okay, I'm starting from scratch again. I'm 25. Actually, I was 26. I started the first company. I did have a Fortune 500 job, but I didn't like it, so I'll start again. That failed. Okay, I need to start again. So once you move physical spaces, you move more open to move out of your comfort zone again and again and again. And that's
one of the steps of your business development too, is get out of your comfort zone. What was it like? You got here at 18,
yeah,
right? What was it like? What was there culture shock? What was it
yes,
like for you?
yes, all of the above. Culture shock, all shock. You have to keep in mind that I moved here right after the Berlin Wall came down. So I moved not from current situation in Eastern Europe, which is more integrated, even though there's conflict going on, obviously. Um, but I moved from Soviet Union. There was a wall. Till age of 16, I never left the country. And 2 years later, I moved here. So it's like being behind the wall, moving to the West, there's a lot bigger cultural shock then. And, being 18, need to go to college, not speaking the language, et cetera, et cetera. It was fun times, but, it builds that resilience, which grit, resilience, whatever you want to call it, really appreciate because, one, I appreciate things that I have a lot more than they were given to me in many regards by my parents because they gave me the mindset to get them. But I got them, most of them myself. They helped me out. It was college a little, but I got scholarship mainly, but they encouraged me. I think the blessing I have, the privilege, like people talk about privileges, the one privilege that I had that my parents drove me a little bit nuts to get more. And more only in one department, education. My father was law professor, my mom was a teacher. It's just education. Money, not important.
Did they stay there and you came here? Or did
No,
they
we
come
all
here?
came together.
You all came together.
Yeah.
What was the decision? I know a lot of people, stayed. What made the family decide to uproot your life in the Soviet Union and come to the US?
Yeah, the Soviet Union just came down. I was like 15, 16. I'm like, I'm out. And my parents were brave enough, we're coming with you. So
You were deciding, like, no matter what, I'm going, you can come with me or
yeah,
not. Yeah.
I mean, now it sounds like I don't think I have prophecy that I saw the future, that the whole region going to be a mess for a long time, but which we will now obviously see even bigger mess than it was for the last 30 years. But I knew nothing good going to be there and that it was time to go. It was time to go. My family been in Europe for the last 1,000 years, give or take, Ashkenazi Jew. But I'm like, okay, this is it, This experiment expired.
What was it like growing up there?
Wow, long time ago. It was different, right? Very different. The things that we have now that was our kids, in terms of stuff that they have, toys they have, the clothes they have, it was different, and I was pretty privileged. My family was pretty well to do, but I still have one winter jacket, one of these, and that's it. We were privileged. We had a car, simple car. Now you'll see that car compared to stuff that we drive will look funny, no AC, nothing like that. So you grow up a lot more humble, but happier in a way because you don't compete with others in a way that, in a West consumer mindset, which I'm guilty of now. I like good things and I like giving them to my kids and my wife and all of it. But you grow up a little with slightly different values. Culture was a lot bigger. We read more. There was not 20 channels of TV. There was 2 channels, both government run. So, you can imagine. So you read more. You do other things, more sports. I didn't do a lot of sports with people. We typically did a lot more sports and other activities.
Yeah. Lou, I just want to be the first one to thank you. Thanks for sharing your journey. And it's amazing. When I see someone, who came, like they basically uprooted their life in another country to come to a different country, it's like it's got to be just a big culture shock and difficult, and it gives someone kind of the perseverance to do whatever they want to do. And so I appreciate you sharing the journey of Opus Connect and what you're doing. People can check it out. And I just want to thank you for sharing your journey and lessons. Thanks, Lou.
Thank you, Jeremy. I appreciate it.
What I got, you can't buy. It resides between my eyes. Walked through the fire, came out better on the other side. See, life's like a beach if you find the sailing right now. I'm feeling like 100 grand.